Hello, you multi-mischievous malt munch maniacs, and thank you to Ozarkelmo for that malt mention. I'm Ralphie in the Bothy, somewhere in the Irish Sea. The Bothy is an old stone hut, a largish hut, in which you can live a very, very simple life, because all we really need for a good quality of life is a simple life surrounded by simply good things in moderation, you see, because excess of anything is a form of poverty. End of. Now, I've just reviewed this whisky, Glen-Scotia Victoriana, which won the accolade of Best Whisky of the Year 2022 at the Online Scotch Whisky Awards. Right, there's a link down below if you want to go and check them out. And this is Ralphie Review 968 extras, which means I'm giving you extra additional content over, above and beyond a singular review of a specific whisky. So I've just reviewed this whisky and I really enjoy it. Glad I bought it. I'm about halfway down the bottle. It's natural coloured. It's non-chill filtered and it's cask strength, and it says it clearly in the label, right? So, and this is what's called an integrity whisky, and it's something that, as we all gain more experience over time, we will gravitate to, because whisky is a journey, and you start at the beginning with your simple whiskies. Perhaps it could have been a bottle of Glenfiddich 12-year-old, or a bottle of Johnnie Walker, or some Chivas Regal, or some Dewar's, or it could have been some Lagavulin that you were unexpectedly given by a whisky drinker who just wanted to have a laugh, checking your reaction to a very, very peaty whisky. It's always good for a laugh. And you happened to enjoy it, and you said, you know what, I'm going to look after my health, but I'm not going to cut out alcohol completely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drink a bit less volume of alcohol, and I'm going to drink a bit more quality of alcohol. So we all remember our college days and our late school days even, when, I remember when I was at college doing catering, funnily enough, and my tipple was Thunderbird, and you could also get White Lightning. I preferred Thunderbird, and it was basically a very cheap fortified white wine. And there were some folks who would basically even take a bottle of sherry and a bottle of vodka half and half, and even add sugar to it and give it a shake. When you're a student, it's amazing how much rubbish your system can tolerate, because you've got the immunity of inexperience and youthfulness on your side. But as time moves on and we have less time available to us, we have to narrow things down. We can't abuse our system the way we used to. So the idea of having a binge at the weekend on 12 pints or 3 bottles of wine or something stupid, those days are over and done with. So we're looking for quality, and we've got a number of options. We've got bourbon and rum and rye and cognac and Armagnac. The world of spirits is incredibly diverse. And we're not even really including liqueurs yet. Liqueurs, although there's a few standard generic liqueurs to be found in the supermarket, there are some fascinating, wonderful semi-sweet liqueurs and eau de vies which are not relying on big dollops of syrupy sugar in them to have any substance whatsoever. The availability of quality spirits and quality drinks has never been more diverse and greater than it is now, and this trend will continue into the future. Absolutely. So you're starting with whisky, Scotch whisky, very diverse in flavours. It's something that's available to you. It's something that once you know you're no longer adding Coca-Cola or ginger beer or whatever, or ginger ale, or sugary stuff, or even ice. You get a glass like this, or even a small wine glass will do, and you start slowing things down. Because the slower you sip, the less you can consume. And therefore the step from complete sobriety towards inebriation is much more measured and steady, and you get to the point where you don't regret having drunk too much, but you do appreciate you've drunk enough. And it's a subtle difference. Well, not so subtle depending on circumstances, but it's an important difference. We have far greater control over the extent of our intoxication. And particularly when we're drinking whiskey with the presence of a glass of water, it helps to keep us hydrated. So we're on this quest now for quality. We've had a few introductory whiskies. We've bought a few bottles in the supermarket or on the advice of friends or having been gifted for Christmas, birthdays or New Year's or Burns Night or whatever. And we decide, I've enjoyed that Glenfiddich 12-year-old, but I'd like to try something else. So you may buy a bottle of Bunnahabhain, and then you say, do you know what, this 12-year-old Bunnahabhain, really nice stuff, and I've been online and I've done a few wee checks for 15 minutes, and it comes back that it's highly rated with the experienced whiskey people, so maybe I should be listening to these experienced whiskey people. Where will I find them? On the videos, the forums, the Reddit chat groups, the podcasts. The internet provides infinitely more information that you will than you would find from any other resource. You'll notice in books that they tend to be awfully repetitive and very quickly out of date. You'll notice from magazine articles and newspaper articles that the messages are very similar, very banal, and usually bought and paid for. Because that's the way the media works, the legacy media. It's when you come online that you will soon, through experience of being online, you'll know the difference between the best and the rest. You will gravitate to sources of information that you trust. And when you go to the videos, for example, you'll scroll down through the comments and you'll start to see the same characters appearing, perhaps in a live stream or a podcast or a video, and you can tell that they're the true enthusiasts. So you don't know them personally, but you have these virtual members of your whiskey club. You find out what they're buying, you find out what they're talking about, and you get to know far, far quicker than ever there used to be the case of where the really exciting whiskies are to be found. And at the moment, it's whiskies like Loch Lee and Ardnamurchan and Clydeside and Kingsbarn, for example. New distilleries that are Wolfburn, for example, another really good example. The whiskies that are non-age statement at the moment, but I will be reviewing shortly on my channel. You start to become aware of them. Even if you can't find them where you are, at least you know about them, and it's better that they're on your radar than invisible to you. Because it may be the case that someone is travelling on holiday to Scotland and they say, well, I don't like whiskey much, can I bring you back a bottle? And you say, oh yes, please. And you can tell them exactly what you want them to buy for you, exactly where they're going to be buying it, and exactly how much they can expect to pay for it. You'll only find that online. Only online. Online has been a total game changer, and it's accelerating the migration of a very, very important and growing minority of whiskey drinkers onto where the quality is and where the quality's at. Distillers know this, and many distilleries respond positively to this. Other distilleries, unfortunately, try to pretend it's just not even happening, because the leadership is highly, highly conservative and reluctant to change. I mean, you have evidence of this, that of distilleries that have recently changed hands, like Glen Scotia, for example, where the previous owners did nothing with a gold mine. Seriously, a gold mine, and they didn't dig for gold. So the new owners, all they have to do is scratch the surface. The gold is sitting there. It's already there, glistening and sparkling. All they have to do is bottle it, knowing that we're out there, the commentators, the experienced enthusiasts, and collectively, not one individual, but all collectively are generating this extremely valuable conversation, not just for the Scotch whisky industry, but for people discovering and finding whisky anywhere, and I mean anywhere in the world and beyond. Yep, and beyond. You could be in outer Mongolia, and if you're a whisky enthusiast, you will know more about whisky within 1 year than people did 30 years ago over a 10-year span and living in Scotland. Cheers. How do you spot quality whisky? The ones people are talking about, the ones people rate, they're usually, not always, but usually, bottled at higher strength, unchill filtered, and of natural colour. I've explained on many occasions why this phenomenon is so important. And it's not for me to tell you any more about that, it's for you to taste and try and discover it for yourself. And if I'm wrong, but I'm not. And when you taste whisky, whole range of whiskies, you'll know exactly why I'm not wrong. And I can say these things because I'm independent. I buy what I review. This is very, very empowering. And I'm greatly aided by not just the support you provide by watching my videos or being a Patreon subscriber, but for the feedback you give me in the comments. And certainly the conversation I get in my Patreon channel is just, I can't ask for more. Other signs of a really good whisky is the attitude of the producer. Whether they be official bottlings or independent bottlings, the independent bottlers, just as they always have done, are absolutely priceless to the reputation of Scotch whisky and have done more to promote Scotch whisky over the last 30 years than is actually quantifiable. And you see this clearly demonstrated in the lack of independent bottlers in other spirit categories like rum, because the independent rum categories, in the rum category, independent bottlers have only recently become more and more prominent and more of a phenomenon. Many of them get it right and some get it wrong. Some independent rum bottlers, I do not touch their brand because they're sugar coating, sugar dosing. They're faking it, in my opinion. Faking it and putting on bright, zingy labels. And it's just so... frankly, it comes across as fake, in my opinion. They've not banned them yet. Opinions are still legal. I would conclude by saying whiskey, ooh, this is really hitting its stride now. It's about 25 minutes in the glass with about 3/4 of a spoon of water. The harsh sensation range has subsided and this beautiful, oily, soft, natural sweetness is coming out the single malt itself. The whisky signature is really, really starting to sparkle. Delightful stuff. Do recommend it to you. I would conclude by saying something you need to be aware of, and I'm going to do a specific video on this later this year. Whisky's the law of diminishing returns. The more you taste whisky, the more you will know what you do like, and importantly, you will know what you don't like. The more you become experienced with drinking whisky, the more you will appreciate a bad bottling from a good bottling. The more you will recognise poor quality acting casks from better quality acting casks. This is just part of the journey. There will be times you pour a glass of whisky and you just put a lid on it and put it on a shelf somewhere and walk away because you can't even face it. I've been there myself many times. You get all whiskied out, and even going to another spirit like rum or bourbon, it doesn't help. You've just got to take time out and walk away from alcohol for about a week. Just let your let your palate rest, let your nose rest, let your memory rest, because every now and again we just need a rest. Ask people that go to the gym. The successful people that train at a gym, they're not going hard at it all the time, 24/7, every week of the year. They know that every now and again you just take a week out and do nothing. Same with people that do crossword puzzles or play chess or any sports activity. It's the best thing you could do is just stop for a bit. But there we are. I'm Ralphie. I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been an extras. Hope you enjoy my content. If you've not yet subscribed, it's very, 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 very easy to do. Just click on the like, click subscribe, wee subscribe box. And look forward to seeing you soon for another whisky review, which will be in Ralphie Review 969. It's going to be a non-age statement whisky, and a damn good one too. Very exciting. I'm going to explain during that time why I'm now reviewing non-age statement whiskies when I didn't used to. I'm not here to cut my nose to spite my face. I can't be too Luddite about it. There's so many really, really good non-age statement whiskies at the moment that are still at relatively good value for the price wise, and this is very important about what I do, delivering advice which is still in a budget, because most of us are on a budget. Not all, but most of us. Bye.